Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Love to Live Healthy show. I'm Josephine Fitzpatrick, author of Cheat Day Rules, available on Amazon. I'm a weight loss nutrition specialist for over 15 years, and I work with thousands of clients all over the world. I own Innovation Healthy Market at 802 Jericho Turnpike, Woodbury, New York, where for the last 12 years we sell hundreds of prepared meals and snacks. We are open to the public 7 days a week. You do not have to be a client to shop in our store. We have customers from all over Long Island visit our store every day, and we ship tri-state. We also offer free delivery on Long Island every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we hand deliver to New York City every Tuesday. We are also on Uber Eats 7 days a week. So if you're looking to lose weight or just eat healthy, come and visit our store. Everything is made fresh daily, and we carry everything from high protein, low carb, gluten-free, sugar-free, plant-based, vegan, keto, and our famous detox. And someone is always available at the store to help you. They will hold your hand to get you what you want. Please do not hesitate to ask them when you walk in. For more information on our store, delivery, shopping, and weight loss, visit our website, innovationhealthymarket.com, or check out our Instagram at Innovation Weight Loss. Today I'm here with Jake Fitzpatrick. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning.
And today's episode is chronic inflammation. Is it making you fat?
This is a big one because is there a link, do you think, between inflammation and weight gain?
There is. When we're talking about chronic inflammation, it absolutely is weight gain because it's internal. See, a lot of times people think when they hear inflammation, they're thinking of acute inflammation, like maybe if you have a sore throat and, or a virus, or you hurt yourself and you swell. But chronic inflammation, on the other hand, occurs when the body starts to continue to send out inflammatory cells and substances. And even though there's no infection or injury, you see it swelling from the inside. You just don't see it. There's no symptoms. There's no signs. And when there is a sign, it's always because of your heart or, a disease or an illness that is long-term, know. And that's the unfortunate part about it. You don't really see it until it's, like, too late.
Yeah. No, even like you said, like with the inflammation, like people usually think like, oh, like you take like Advil or Aleve to help with inflammation. But even when it says like chronic inflammation can be a result of like stresses, like that stresses on the body, like those, those bumps and that inflammation, like that is a stress itself.
Yes.
So, but it's funny how that's also like linked to weight gain because stress obviously is a factor with weight gain as well.
Absolutely,
yeah.
100%. And again, a lot of people don't realize that inflammation is the common link, among the leading causes of death.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about like cardiovascular, cancer, diabetes, 70% of all the deaths in the United States, these diseases share inflammation as a link. Mm-hmm. So it is very dangerous, know. So what causes it is so many different factors, but we definitely know that being overweight or being obese causes inflammation,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, it's other things too, certain foods, depression,
yep.
And like we said, stress on the body, just stress in general can cause inflammation.
Yeah. I mean, stress by itself, there's been plenty of research to show that stress, like chronic inflammation and stress have a direct link mm-hmm. because it disrupts the body's, immune and functions and how it operates, even because chronic stress can increase the risk of stress-related diseases even.
Right.
There's a lot of diseases that come about just from people's stress being higher. And this is due to the mild, obviously, the chronic inflammation that people go through, especially when it's linked to weight gain.
Right.
And then, like you said, even there's inflammatory foods even that are categorized as foods that, are particularly highly processed, high sugar, mm-hmm. and then even those can contribute to inflammation.
Yep. Even excess alcohol.
Yep.
Yep. Everything that you're basically putting strain on your body can cause internal inflammation.
Yep.
And again, that comes with weight. That comes with, even menopause, that comes with the foods we eat, alcohol, being obese, chronic stress. When we talk about stress, a lot of times we don't realize how much damage it can do to our body. But it is one of the leading factors that causes the inflammation. And when we have internal inflammation like that, and we know that it's the link to so many, death, that's really important when we talk about that,
Yeah, it's interesting because inflammation is almost the first warning signal almost of these other things that can come about as a result. Because, like we said, the inflammation is, from highly processed foods or alcohol or
too much sugar.
Sugars that are linked to low-grade inflammation even. Sugar consumption, it even impacts the gut health as well,
right.
which, you can have an inflamed gut. And
right.
then that can lead to so many different things like bacteria growth and then also just, the organs not operating the way they should, like kidneys and liver, obviously, which is super important for weight loss, right?
Oh, super important.
Yeah. I mean, those are like the two.
The better your body runs, the better, obviously, that it's going to, you're going to be able to lose weight. But the inflammation is definitely going to not even just pause it or put it on hold. It can make you gain weight, you know, because you have to remember when you're inflamed, that is, just think of something swollen. It's just from the inside. So we don't see the signs, unfortunately, until all of a sudden we have, I know some of the main signs that people see is they get acid reflux or, even exhaustion, when people feel really fatigued. So I think a lot of, of course those can be attributed to other things as well. But if you know that your body's not feeling good and you know that you just overall don't feel well and you start getting acid reflux from your stomach, these are things that you should check, because if you do have chronic inflammation, it's going to make a big difference in your overall health. But especially if you're working so hard to lose weight and you're like, I'm doing all the right things, but my number's just not going down, Yeah.
And then like you said, too, it's also just like a super common in obesity, just because the high sugar intake alone is one of the causes of obesity.
Yeah. Or
and it's
processed,
one of the directing factors.
And a lot of times it is processed, foods, processed sugars. And we've talked about this before when it comes to like, just for example, let's say an apple. It's high in sugar, but it's natural sugar. So where, when you have processed sugar, your body doesn't know the difference, but what it does do is from the apple, it's going to take all the vitamins, all the nutrients. Your body's going to process it better. When it's not real sugar or processed sugar, it's going to lead to the inflammation, and that's what makes such a big difference.
Interesting. And then that also leads to other things, too, like high cholesterol, elevated blood sugar.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I was reading about it, too. What is the significance of the insulin resistance?
So that's diabetes.
Yeah.
So basically when your pancreas does not, it can't process the insulin anymore, you become resistant to it. And that's when, you'll either take pills or you'll take shots, but that's when all of a sudden you will become a diabetic because your body can't function. Your pancreas can't function.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's what we talk about all the time when we go back to Ozempic, because that's what they're giving them shots where it's helping the pancreas, but if you don't have diabetes, what is it doing?
Yeah.
And again, that's the question that nobody really knows the answer to.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some ways that you can, if you feel like you have chronic inflammation, what can you do about it? So, of course, you can exercise. That's a big factor always.
Yep,
I feel like exercise is one of those things that can help you in so many ways. You could do one workout, whether you're doing weights, you could do yoga, you can run, but it's going to help your inflammation. It's going to help your mental health. It's going to help your stress. It'll help you on so many levels.
Yeah, well, another common link, too, with, like you said, like obesity is just another way to say somebody is, hyperinflamed. Like that's a very common thing. So when you are hyperinflamed, obviously people think like the best thing to do is, I'll just rest. Right. No, but obviously when you're resting, your heart rate slows down, everything like that. But when your heart rate speeds up, that's the thing that burns fat. That's the thing that burns more calories. So when you exercise or exert energy like you should when you're inflamed, it actually will help the inflammation while also burning calories and fat.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always tell everyone, listen, if you're taking a walk, that's fantastic. But, you really should get to the point where you cannot hold a conversation.
Yeah.
That's when you know that your heart is working for
Yep.
your body, you
Yep.
know?
Absolutely.
Another great thing is, of course, which we talk about all the time, is moderation when you're drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing for people. It's hard because they have one and then they want another and then they want another, you know?
Yep.
So I think when sometimes we look at it and we say, okay, if I'm drinking too much and it's causing inflammation, and you always know it. Like I know when people are drinking, like they're swollen around their eyes. They just they don't wake up the next day the same way. When you have that inflammation, it does show. You just don't know you have it, you know. And a lot of times you'll just attribute it. Well, I was drinking last night, but that's what's causing the inflammation. So moderation, I think, in everything in life is more important than overdoing it, or not saying you have to quit. Like, you don't have to quit drinking, but you just have to drink in moderation.
Yep, absolutely. Even the portion control. Like,
Always.
that's just another way.
That's
moderation,
exactly what I was
you
getting
think
to.
moderation, you think portion control. And then, like you said before, the processed sugars, the difference between natural sugars in an apple and then processed sugars. The sugar is not sugar, almost. Because when you skip the processed sugars and the processed foods, all of these have, the thing that everybody looks for in the store that we don't have, which is added sugar.
Right.
Added sugar is a key thing because that contributes to inflammation by itself. And these substances contain all sorts of things that natural sugars don't, like chemicals, additives, compounds that can irritate the body. And it's a foreign substance to the body. So that's what causes the inflammation by itself. And then even, like you said, to promote, weight loss and just a healthier lifestyle with this, choose whole foods. Choose, whole foods to go, like, whole foods to eat instead of these ones that are filled with chemicals, filled with additives and everything. You want natural, unprocessed foods like vegetables, like, even fruits, like you said, lean proteins, whole grains, nuts.
Another good thing, I'm going to interrupt you because I just thought of it when you said even fruits. So I learned this a long time ago from a doctor, which is so important that I think enough people don't realize. There's so much pesticide sprays today with vegetables and fruits.
Yeah.
You should wash all. I make them do this in our kitchens. You should wash any fruit and vegetables with vinegar because it will literally take any pesticides off. It's such a big thing because we don't realize sometimes we think, oh, it's a vegetable, it's fruit. But if you think about it, it's grown out of the ground. They sprayed it. Today they're spraying it so it's twice as big. Even if it's, I can't think of the name. What's it called when you? I can't think of it. Organic. Even if it's organic, it's still growing from the ground. So you really need to spray them, wash them. I have them soak everything in vinegar just to get anything off. It's really important. You pat them dry. Once they dry, you don't even taste the vinegar anymore. But a doctor told me that a long time ago. And we don't realize how important that is because you know that people who have cancer that are going through chemo, they can't even have raw vegetables. They can't have fruits because there's such a high tendency to get an infection because whatever's on the plant, whatever, even when you wash them good enough, So a lot of times they tell them do not have any plant, do not have any vegetables or fruit for that reason. Wow. So I think it's important to just know when you hear these things, when you read these things, when you listen and you talk to doctors, you have to really take it for what it is. And if they're saying that, well, you have to think, well, I don't want to wait until something's wrong with me. I want my vegetables, my fruits clean the proper way now, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's something to add in. I think it's important.
I think that's really important, too. And then the other thing that I wanted to include, which is a touchy subject in the store, but everybody gets really scared when they see fats. But you have to remember, fats can be your friend.
Yes, and they actually help with inflammation.
And they help with inflammation
if they're
too,
the right fats.
Because there's something called healthy fats, and then there's something called saturated fats. Saturated fats are, of course, the chemicals and all that stuff that we don't like.
It's the bad fat. That's the
trans
fats that give you the heart attack.
Those are the fats that give you the heart, the heart disease, high cholesterol, everything like that. But I always preach to people in the store when I show them, like all of our brands and our nuts and our mixed and our mixed nuts and everything like that, or any trail mixes.
We have a lot of nuts in this one.
yeah. But like the trail mixes, the mixed nuts, all the brands and everything. These are ways to incorporate your healthy fats. Healthy fats are so good for you because
the guac spread.
Avocados, nuts, seeds, plant-based oils, or even extra virgin olive oil, right? This even includes like fatty sources of protein, like fish, like salmon's a super great source of healthy fat, as well as your omegas and everything. And this even reduces inflammation too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another. Just a fun little fact. Salmon is one of the only fishes that you can eat every day.
Wow.
So you don't get too much mercury, you don't get too much, but that is one fish that you can actually eat every day. That and bronzino.
Well, good, because I've been eating our salmon bowl in the store every day. So, yeah.
It's so good.
It's so good.
So another way to help inflammation is to have a cup of tea. Green or black tea actually helps with inflammation.
Does that fall into like herbal tea?
Yeah, but green tea and black tea, even just regular
How about
tea.
Sweet tea?
No, I don't think that'll work. Yeah. But the idea is not to have it with the milk. You just have it black or green, and it does help with inflammation.
Isn't it funny how every time we talk about something like, your tea or your coffee that's actually okay for you to have, there's always something that ruins it, milk and creamer and everything, because you're putting in the added sugars and stuff.
Exactly.
It's funny when I talk to people about the detox plan in the store, and I'm like, oh, do you drink coffee? Like, because that's a big part of it, because everybody needs their coffee in the morning. And somebody's like, oh, I love my coffee in the morning. But I'm like, okay, you got to have it black, and everybody's faces drop because they're like, oh, I just put a pack of Splenda in it. And I'm like, nope, that'll throw the entire thing off. It's funny how there's always things like tea, like you said, that help with inflammation. Coffee is that's great for you, the caffeine, obviously if you need a little bit of jitters. But it's always funny how for every healthy thing, there's something that completely ruins it.
Yeah, you can ruin
it's like these companies make them to really just ruin it.
I always say it's like when people take a vegetable and they put cheese on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah. Or like you have an apple and you dip it in Nutella.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, apple and peanut butter are two of my favorite things.
Apple and peanut butter is
like
great.
That salty sweet, but it also gives you the protein.
It probably wouldn't be everybody's first pick, though.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, it's funny. People would rather a caramel apple.
Yeah, true. Very true. Another thing that really helps with inflammation, which I've preached about this many times, is intermittent fasting. And the reason for that, so basically intermittent fasting is when you take a certain amount of hours each day. So we always do like the 5-hour fasting. So it's you only eat in the same 5 hours for the week. Okay. So say you start on Monday, you do it Monday through Sunday, or if you're doing a cheat on Sunday, which that's what we always preach. So if you did it Monday through Saturday, you pick 5 hours and you only eat your meals and snacks in those 5 hours. And the reason for that is because that's giving you 19, right? 21, 2, 3, 4. 19 hours.
Yep.
Yeah. Of basically your body is processing all that food in the 19 hours.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So I know I'm so bad.
No, we're great with weight.
Yeah,
but
my
terrible
math is
with
terrible. Even when I know the answer, I always question myself.
Yeah, I know.
It must be something that happened to me in school when I was
Again, I wish there was video because we're counting fingers over here. Yeah.
But yeah, so basically when you have that 19 hours to process your food, it's giving your body a rest from processing. So because normally it's like 3 hours after you eat. So just say 3 hours, you finished at 7. So by 10 o'clock, your body is done processing whatever you ate in those 5 hours. Now, you have the rest of the time where you're giving your body a rest from processing food. That's what takes down the inflammation.
Yep.
Because it's not working. Your body, you're not supposed to be eating day and night. Like we get on these kicks where we're like, oh, we got to eat like 10 meals a day or 6 meals a day. No, you're supposed to give your body a rest from eating. And when you give it that rest, that's what takes down the inflammation. That's why when people do the detox, they feel so good.
Yep.
Because they're not overworking all of their organs, their body to constantly process food from morning till night.
Yep. And every time somebody asks me if they should try the detox in the store, because they're like, what would get me back into like my my best habit, like where I was at my lowest number, and everybody's like, should I do, you know, like 3 meals, 1 snack? And I'm like, the detox is the best way to get a clean slate, because you are completely flushing out everything, doing a full cleanse, and then automatically after you give your body that time, because you're only having the three things all day, you're actually doing almost a fast of some sort, because you're only having the drink, the muffin, and the meal. Yep. So once you do that, your body's actually like it's like doing a factory reset and unplugging, plugging back in.
It's so true.
And you are starting from square one. Once you go to the next week, then you start your regular habit again. Have your meal, do the 5-hour fast, all of that. And, you know, these are all called, you know, anti-inflammatory practices.
Exactly.
It's whether it be the 5-hour fast or the detox or anything. It's any, you know, quality sleep, even sleep management, stress management. You know, you break the
Sleep's
cycle.
a big thing.
Yeah, you break the cycle of your inflammatory cycle, because there's something called the fat inflammation cycle in the body. And this happens, like you said, when you don't give your body time to process all these nutrients. The inflammation just builds up, and you think you're doing something correct, but you're actually hurting yourself. Like, it'll disrupt your metabolism, and these are all long-lasting effects, too. These aren't just, you know, the inflammation by itself. This is what comes as a result. It disrupts your metabolism. It triggers hormonal imbalances, impacts your gut health, whether it be permanently or short-term. And it also just, you know, results in fatigue. Your joints will hurt. You'll feel yourself like, oh my God, my elbows, like, you know, all my joints are cracking.
Everything hurts.
You know, bloating. Everybody's bloating.
Everyone
always says.
Even when they're not bloating.
Even if you have just one meal, people are like, I'm so bloated. I'm so bloated. That's a common excuse, because you're not bloated. You're just, it's inflammation buildup. That's all it is.
Sometimes it's just fat.
Sometimes it's just fat. Yeah.
Like I've told clients that I'm like, listen, you're 20 pounds heavier than you ever were. Yeah. So, of course, your body's going to constantly feel bloated. Yes, a lot of times it is inflammation. And it's inflammation because you're 20 pounds heavier. Once you get that 20 pounds off, if you do it the right way, the inflammation's going to come down.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting, too? Because, like, sometimes people will do the detox, or sometimes people will, you know, start their first week on a plan, and they won't lose any weight. But isn't it like a common result from inflammation too? Like, doesn't it increase the difficulty to lose weight?
Absolutely.
So that's why if you don't see the number go down after the first week, just know you're still chipping away.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
you're just fighting the inflammation off.
Most of the time you'll see something, but like you won't get the same results as someone else. Like I had one client, and I used to say she had resistant fat. And what she really did have was inflammation from being overweight for a long time, you know. And your body, just from being overweight for such a long period of time, just think about holding that weight every day, you know. Your body gets inflamed. And obviously you're overweight from not eating the right things.
Yeah. Like you just said, like if you're overweight for a longer period of time than someone else, if you hold that weight longer, does it mean it's more difficult to lose it?
Yes, I call it resistant.
Or is it almost like, you know, like when you first go to the gym as a new person and you make the gains right away? It's like we call it newbie gains, because you get a peak on your muscle in the first week that you work out. But if you hold the weight longer, it's harder to lose it.
It's definitely harder, and I'll tell you why. So you know you'll always see results in like the first week, because it's usually water weight. It's basically a lot of water weight.
You're shell-shocking the body.
So, but what happens after that is your body is so used to having this fat. Now, when fat cells open, they stay open, and it takes them a long time to shrink. The longer that they're open, it's the same thing. The longer it's going to take them to shrink. So if someone gained 5 pounds versus someone who's had this weight on them for so long, and they want to lose 5 pounds, they both want to lose 5 pounds, but the person who just gained the 5 is going to lose it a lot faster than the person who has had that weight on them for a long time, because their fat cells are already open. We have trillions of them in our bodies, and once they're open, they open faster each time.
Interesting.
That's why as you get older, you know, your fat cells open much faster. Even when you close them, you know, that's how you lose weight. Like, you know, you lose weight, it doesn't fall to the floor. Like your fat cells close, you know? So basically, when you lose the weight and the fat cells close, the problem is because they were already open, they're going to open so much faster. And that's why people are like, why does it come on so much faster? That's why. Yeah. You know, because they're already stretched. They're already open. They've been open. It's not a new cell opening.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, in the first week, if people, does it? Well, what other things can affect it? Like, does menopause affect it?
Well, menopause. The thing
is menopause linked to inflammation as well?
Absolutely, 1,000%, and that's why
I'm so
unfortunately,
happy I'm a guy.
yeah. Well, there is menopause, but that's a whole different thing.
Talk
but that's when we talk about the tests and all that.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what they call that. You're basically with the menopause, like you're losing your testosterone from like 30s on, but it's such a slow progress that people don't label it as much, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's why all of a sudden, you're 50 and you have like a beer belly, or I shouldn't say beer, whatever, food belly, whatever.
You have a dad bod.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a dad bod, exactly. And you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
And you lose your hair, and you know what I mean? But for women, it's more impactful. It's pretty, all of a sudden, perimenopause, and then it hits you, and you're going through it, and all of a sudden you have like a tire around your stomach, and you're like, where did I get this from? Like, I used to be heavier on my legs or upper body. Now it's in your stomach. I never had fat in my stomach. And it's what I hear in my office all the time, and that's what it is. It redistributes because of menopause, and your body just runs so much slower, and the fat comes on so much faster. It's just it's not fun.
Is it always like default just stored to that midsection area?
Always. It's for menopause. Yes, absolutely. It goes right to the midsection.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's where you
it's like the worst place literally possible.
Yeah, it's the hardest to lose. But again, you have to remember that your body, that is where your fat cells are going to really just open, and it's really hard to lose it there.
Wow.
But it's very doable because I have thousands of clients who have done it,
And you see them every week.
Every week.
And you see visual changes, right?
Yep.
Wow.
And they lose the weight even though they swear they're not going to, and their body shrinks. And, again, I was just telling someone today, the difference with before menopause and after is you really need to incorporate weights more. For a woman, like where we used to be like just cardio, you'd gain weight, you'd run, and it would come off. Your body just looks different. So when you incorporate weights, when you're going through perimenopause and menopause, it's going to make a huge difference in how you look and how you feel. So you should still do cardio, but the weights are really important.
Okay, so that resistance actually,
the
body feels it more.
Yeah,
almost.
well, you need to. You also need that muscle because you're losing muscle all the time, when you're a woman, bone, you lose muscle, and you really need to, or you'll just be really thin with a lot of hanging skin.
Yeah.
And that's not fun.
That was always the thing that I hated the most about the day my life changed forever was the day I found out about catabolic. When your body goes catabolic, ruined my whole outlook.
You told me about that. Who was that you saw?
It was funny because it was my trainer at the gym who told me, he was like, you got to eat your meals every day or else if you don't eat within a certain time, your body's going to go into a catabolic state. And I was like, what is that? And I learned that catabolic state is when your body is starving, it actually eats your muscle first before it eats your fat. Yeah. So it uses your muscle as a source of nutrient. And I was like, why is that? That's literally the worst thing. Because if it ate the fat first, then we would all be happy. And I was like, why doesn't he eat the fat? There's plenty of it.
Yeah.
Like, why does it eat the muscle first? And I always hated that.
Yeah. That's why it's so important. And I'll just say this really quick before we end the show. That's why it's really important, even with the detox. The detox and when you're fasting, it's very important to have your protein. And that's why we have protein in all our meals, all our snacks, all our muffins, because that's what makes you keep your muscle when you're doing the detox or when you're doing the fasting, because that's really important.
Yep,
that's
absolutely.
a good point. Okay, that's all we have for today. I hope you loved our episode, learned a lot.
Yep, and please remember to stop in at Innovation at 8025 Jericho Turnpike, Woodbury, New York, or you can visit our website, innovationhealthymarket.com, or call the store 516-802-5055. We're open 7 days a week and are always there to help you with shopping, orders, or weight loss needs. When you come in, ask for me, Jake. I will be happy to show you around the store. Or if you're looking for a one-on-one plan, I can make your first free consultation appointment with Josephine. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.